Man, I wish I knew this stuff a long time ago. I love building in Fortnite Creative, but there are a lot of little tips and tricks that I've learned over the last couple of years that I wish I knew when I started building. So today I'm gonna go over 9 things I think are gonna help you a lot that have helped me a lot. Let's go. All right, we're gonna start with some really basic stuff and then it'll get a little bit more advanced as we go. So first, when you've got your island and you wanna test it out, most new players will pull out a player spawn pad and then like place this down here and then start the game, right? That way you'll spawn right on top of the spawn pad so that you can then go and test out your map. But you don't actually need to do that. There's actually a really cool setting when you go to your game settings. You'll scroll all the way down until you see spawn location. And you'll see right now it's on spawn pads, but you can change that to current location. Let's go stand on top of this circle trick here. So now when I start the game, I'm going to start right on top of that circle trick where I am standing. Guys, I probably built for a year and a half before I knew that trick, and I really wish I had known it at the start. Okay, number 2 is I wish I had used build a prop on and off more often. So when we first got build a prop, I was so excited because now we could have walls where we could place them however we wanted. I basically changed my build style to where I was always building with build a prop on, but the problem with that, guys, is it takes a lot more time to like place down walls and get things flush when you have build a prop on, even when you're using like a really high grid snap. So right now I'm on grid snap 2 and I can place things a lot faster on grid snap 2. But why am I even using grid snap 2 at that point? If I do this with building as a prop off, then placing this all down is super easy, right? I don't even have to like pay attention to what I'm doing because I can just place it down right next to each other and it's perfectly flush. Versus it was probably taking me 2 or 3 times longer to do it with building as a prop on. Now I find myself often going in between those 2 settings. The only thing I wish is that we had some sort of a hotkey or a quick selecting tool on your phone just to switch between those 2 modes quickly. That would make life so much easier when I'm building instead of having to like pull open the screen, go and select it, and then change it. Okay, with number 3, I'm ashamed to admit how recently I learned this, but this has to do with props. So let's get this cannon here. And then when you resize the prop, now we've got a giant cannon. And when you pick it up, for the longest time, I didn't know like where it was rotating from, but it's actually really simple, guys. So when you pick it up, you're gonna see a little dot right there. That is the anchor point for this prop. So when I rotate, it's gonna be rotating around that one dot. So now you can see when I rotate this, it's rotating around the dot and not necessarily like where the middle of the prop is. And then if I'm going to take all of these and then rotate those, you'll now see 4 dots in the middle. So that kind of screws things up and it doesn't necessarily rotate around that. So this trick only really works with one prop, but seeing where that dot is gonna help you a lot when you're rotating and placing things. I only recently learned that, guys. Okay, number 4 is one I've only recently started doing as well. I know it existed, but I just didn't use it very much. I almost never used the drop function. I almost never used it on. Like when I'm placing props down, I would just kind of, place them down and sometimes they'd go through floors and, it'd just be a mess. But when you turn your drops on, there's a magic thing that happens. Look, there's a circle down beneath the prop showing where it will drop when I click. So I'm gonna click, boom. I now know exactly where it's gonna land and it's also gonna be flush with the ground. This makes decorating so much easier because you can just resize things, rotate them, and you know that they're always gonna drop right there on the floor. And even this thing is just perfectly balanced right on the floor right there. Now I have some caution for this because if you want to have something that goes through your floor and you have your drops on and you drop it, it disappears and it goes all the way to the bottom of the map. You can see here a few things that I had through the floor. They're all down here now. And then also, when you multi-select something, you can see these are my little robots I made. When you multi-select something and you forget that your drops are on and then you try and put him up in the air here, look, everything drops and it's crazy. Guys, I can't tell you how many times I've done that and it's messed up my builds. So be careful when you're using this function, but it can really help your builds if you're using it properly. Okay, number 5, I also recently learned, and I wish I had learned this a lot longer ago. But when you're building, you start rotating things and getting them out of whack, and especially when you have your grid snap set to off, you start rotating and it gets way out of like where it was originally. And sometimes you just want to get it back to like a nice flat surface, like its original position, and it's like almost impossible to get it back without having to go and reselect it over here, and then you've got it nice and flat again. Well, on PC, there's actually a button. When I hold my tab button down, it just resets it to its original plane. If you're on console, you just need to go down to the creative settings and find this setting right here, prop rotation axis. For me, it's the tab button, and you can set whatever button you want so that you can easily reset your builds. Okay, number 6 I've been using for a while and it's super helpful. So right now I'm on grid snap 4 and everything lines up perfectly. But say I want to resize this wall just a little bit, right? So if I just resize it up a couple, now when I'm placing it down, you can see it's overlapping and it doesn't line up perfect. There's either gaps or it overlaps and it has that Z fighting effect. If you want to avoid that and have things line up perfect, what you have to do is resize by 5. So this is what I mean. When I resize, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it still lines up just right on the grid. You can see it's nice and flush. Yeah, it's a little bigger there because I resized it, but now when I'm placing these, it's always going to line up. So the resize and the grid are on increments of 5. So even if I resize this up again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now this is 10 bigger. It's still going to line up just right. So you can see every time I've resized it by 5, it's still lining up. Now number 7, I recently explained on another video. So when you're multi-selecting something like this that has a bunch of props on it, and you want to know if you've reselected everything, because if you copy it over here and then you place it down, you're gonna know, oh no, I missed everything. So if you want to avoid that happening, all you have to do is select everything and then cut instead of copy. So I'm gonna cut this out, and you can see now that I've missed those 2 props. So all you have to do then is just release the cut, and then you can go back and make sure you've copied everything, and then try it again. You can see I've got everything copied. So I release the cut, and now I just copy that, and I can place him down wherever I want. That can save you a lot of pain from accidentally dropping this down, then having to delete everything, and then try again and again. You can just be sure that you have everything copied, so that's gonna work 100% of the time. All right, number 8 is gonna save you a ton of time. So say you've built something like this big arena here, but you wanna move it to another section of your map, or even to another map entirely. It's gonna be really difficult to do this if you're doing it section by section and just copying it and then moving it over and then trying to line it up on a good grid snap or something. It's gonna be virtually impossible. The way to do this, to put down a wooden wall that you just would normally build in Battle Royale, is completely on the grid. So you gotta make sure you select these 2 walls first, and then select as much as you need out of your arena here. I'm not gonna select a ton, just enough to like show what I'm talking about. And then I'm gonna copy this, and then I'm gonna go to wherever I want to place it, and then I'm gonna place it down right here. Boom. You can see now everything placed down just right, but now I need to go get some more items. So I'm gonna first make sure I select my 2 wood walls here, and I'm gonna grab the rest of this, whatever I need. And even if I accidentally select some of the stuff that I did before, that's okay, because watch, I'm gonna copy this now, and then I'm gonna come over here, and I'm gonna make sure that this lines up with the previous wood pieces. So now I'm gonna put this down, and I'm gonna hit paste, and look, now it's all pasted together just right. Then you just keep repeating that process until you have the entire arena or whatever it is that you need to copy over. Now, if you want to copy this over to another map, you do this exact same process, but you just put the builds into your quick bar. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna hold 5 while I'm pointing at it, and then I can come over to my new map, and then I just hit 5, and look, I just need to line it up. Oh, okay, it's way over there on the right, but it's lined up just right now. I'm gonna place it down, and look, my arena's starting to come together on my new map or new location. Can't tell you how often I use this trick, guys. All right, number 9 and our final tip is really helpful for when you want to build on grid, but up in the sky, but you don't want to have to build like some huge platform going up, or use this unsightly hover platform that's just kind of like floating out here, and you can't even turn the visibility off on this. All you have to do is go to your galleries and find the dark tilted prop gallery. You open that, you're gonna scroll down till you see this like fire looking prop. You're gonna pull that out and you just place it down wherever you want. Okay, so you can see it's floating there, and the nice thing about this is you can enable this during pre-game only, so people won't be able to see this during the game, but now you can actually build right next to this device. So as long as the build is connected to one of your pieces, you can build completely on the grid. Now you don't have to use like these wood pieces. You can use any piece you want as long as your build to prop is off, and it's gonna be as if it were on the grid. You'll see when I delete this, these builds will break just like they would if they were on the grid, like on something like this. So there's the things I wish I had known a long time ago.